Welcome back to another episode of The Summer of Me. We are talking about how to become so damn magnetic today. I love this topic. This is the law of attraction. I've done so many TikTok deep dives on this. If you know, you know. I've actually got better about my TikTok rabbit holes, but this is one specifically where I will go all in because I think it is such a powerful lesson to learn, something I knew nothing about years ago. It has really opened my eyes to so much in my life. The law of attraction is so powerful. We're going to talk about exactly what it is, but I'm going to come at this from the angle of dating because this is really where it's like awoke in me so many different things. Kind of a little bit of attachment theory, if you guys know anything about that, and a little bit of the law of attraction. But if you're not in a place where you're in a dating relationship, you can use this from like a friendship standpoint, work, if you're trying to build a business. Like there's so many different ways that you can apply the law of attraction and attachment theory, really. And so I really, want to kind of encourage you, if you're not dating, there's still going to be a lot of value in this episode for you. If you are dating, may the force be with you because it is rough out there. And we're just going to talk about it a little bit because as somebody who historically has found myself in anxious attachment patterns, I'm a healed anxious attacher, but I think that it is really important to just have some awareness about what some of this stuff is. So often awareness is just the first ticket to kind of healing it, but also it's just it's fascinating for somebody like me who's going through a lot of these things in like real time. I find it so fascinating, and I'm always curious like what the brain is doing behind like the heart and all the feelings that I have, and knowing like the conditioning that comes behind it and whatnot. So let's get into it. Originally, I had kind of framed this episode as like what to do when he doesn't text back, because this used to fucking throw me for a loop. If I was texting a guy and he like wouldn't text back for hours on end, I would be like, well, he hates me. I might as well just like dig my grave 6 feet under because this is over. Like and I have now been with enough people, talked to enough people to know that like it's probably actually an okay thing, number one. And number two, it's usually not about you. And also, if you're sitting around waiting for a guy to text you back, you got to fucking be busy, or you got to find some shit to do. We all have this like moment when you're going to dating, you're like, I'm confident, I feel good, I'm evolving. And then like something happens and this person doesn't text you back, or they don't actually take you on the date. Or like I said, if you're in a relationship, like a working relationship, you like send an email where you're like, this is going to be received so well. And then you hear crickets. And then you're like, well, okay, like I said, this is how I die. And it feels like a shock to the system. I know for me, I would go through this specifically, with one of the first people that I dated outside of marriage. I hadn't dated for so many years, and I was like, oh my God, this is the most abandoning feeling I've ever gone through. Like I cannot even this feels awful, right? Anyways, all of your power just like seeps right out of you. And so today we're going to talk about like why that actually happens, what it actually means, and how to like a lot of the things that I've learned to kind of navigate that feeling. Now it's habitual. Like if somebody doesn't text me back, I'm like, they'll get to me. They're not going to leave me on red, honey. And also like I'm a slow responder sometimes. I put my phone away. I won't respond to people right away. I'm very like strategic about the ways I respond to text sometimes, which people are like, don't play games. I'm not playing games. I'm just also like being wise about how I give my time and my energy. And I think one of the most important things I've learned is like, you got to mirror what's being given to you. And so often we overexert ourselves. Like, God, I remember doing this in my marriage, even like how many times I would force myself to make something happen in so many different parts of my life. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, I've gone 90. What's the movie? I've gone 90. You've gone 10, like 50-50, baby. And so I think that it's important to understand like the concept of being a mirror for somebody's energy also. Okay, so here's the honest psychology about this. Your spiral in these situations, whether it's somebody not responding or like not getting the response you want or whatever, has nothing to do with their silence, okay? It's likely your attachment system waking up. So if you've been abandoned, dismissed, overlooked, emotionally neglected, your body learns to interpret silence as danger. It actually is like you have been physically wired this way, whether it's all the way from childhood or a previous relationship. I know for me, like I would date guys in high school even that were emotionally unavailable. And so I felt like I had to work really hard to get their attention. I was earning their love. And so as an adult, I grew up with the same thought, like their silence is danger. Your body is like thinking, this feels familiar. I know what happens. If I play that track, I know exactly what happens. That person's going to abandon me. They're going to leave because they're being silent. And that's obviously not always the case. But it's your trigger, your track that you're playing in your mind. And those things are patterns. They get wired into us, and we have to consciously, it's all subconscious. We have to consciously unwire this in our brains. Dr. Jake has taught me a ton about this, and maybe we'll have him on and talk about like for an episode about this, but it's amazing what patterns get wired into your brain and into your subconscious that we don't even realize are playing. It's like sort of like if you put a CD on and like all those tracks are going to play in a row until you go overwrite that CD. I know I'm aging myself here. Do kids burn CDs anymore? I don't think so. Side note, I fucking made banger mixtapes. Like I was the queen of making a CD for a guy that I liked, and it was like perfectly curated. Oh man, I should have been a radio DJ. Anyways, your brain is basically trying to protect you from rejection before it happens. So when you spiral in these situations, you're basically like, did I say something wrong? How did the vibe change? How many times have you reread a text message 100 times and you're like, okay, what did I do here? Maybe it was that I didn't use an emoji. Maybe I used too many emojis. Maybe I didn't put an exclamation mark. Maybe I said it too fast. Maybe I should have responded to this differently. Like we basically are trying to predict like what's going to happen next as a way to control and prevent like rejection and abandonment, because obviously as humans, those are some of our deepest fears, especially if that's something that has happened to you as a child. I want to preface really quickly, when I say childhood, like I had an incredible childhood. I look back, I have so many fun memories. My parents were present. They were never it was a healthy home, as you would put it. But that doesn't mean that I don't have issues and shit that I've carried through childhood. My kids are going to grow up and have a therapist that they're going to have to talk to and be like, my mom was off the fucking deep end. And I'd be like, yeah, here I am. But ultimately, like there's just things that happen in your childhood that wire the way you think, the wire the way you feel loved, you give love, like all of these patterns that we carry through our lives. And so I think that, a lot of times people are like, oh, I had a great childhood. I don't know what you're talking about. I have nothing from childhood. I understand you had a great childhood, but it's still important to pay attention to some of the habits and things that you picked up, whether it was, when you were young and like elementary or all the way through high school and dating habits and things. So what I had to learn in going through this was basically that the spiral is not about the other person. It's about every version of you who wasn't chosen. The spiral is not about the other person. It's about every version of you who wasn't chosen. You're going back and you're trying to rescue that person. You're trying to rescue those feelings. You're trying to cover up so that you don't have to feel that way, because it's really fucking painful to feel hurt in the same way over and over and over again. And just because something is happening, the beginning of it's happening the same way does not mean the ending. Do not write the ending to these stories. You don't know them. Your body thinks it does, and that's why it's going into this spiral mode, but you do not know the ending. And oftentimes it's better than you can imagine. It ends differently. Like there's no two situations that are the same, yet our body goes into this survival mode. It's basically like how our instincts were created. It's like we have this survival mechanism. So the reframe here is that just because your body panics doesn't mean your worth is in question. Oh my God, this is so true. Like it just means you're being triggered. If your worth is attached to how somebody is responding to you, how something is interpreted by somebody, the time of their response, that is a huge thing that you're going to have to work through. And I continue to have to do this work. There's a book called Worthy by Jamie Kern-Lima that's a really great place to start if this is something you struggle with. I know for me, so much of my worth I gave to other people. I put in the hands of other people, how they were responding to me, what the situation was, how the relationship was evolving, how much attention they were giving me, how much time, and all of my worth was in that, because this was a trigger for me. I felt like if you love me and choose me, you're going to be all up in my grill all the time. So here's how you get magnetic. You become the main character in your own life. And I know this sounds so cliche and people are like, oh, I'm the main character. Well, first of all, that's obnoxious. But second of all, there are some serious tangible ways that you can become the main character, because when you have your life full enough and big enough, and you've done the work to understand that you are innately worthy and not your worth doesn't come from other people or how they're choosing you, those two things come hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. Then you actually can heal this pattern and heal some of these like triggers and this feeling of not being chosen by somebody as the end of the world or not being responded to. We basically put people on emotional pedestals. Women put men on emotional pedestals all the time. I know that I have done this so much in my past. It looks like overanalyzing text messages, taking silence personally, reading tone. Everything that person does is now Bible. Like that is what goes. And that is really where like we see all of our value, all of our worth. And every time you do that, you hand over your magnetism. You're giving them the power and you're giving them the energy, and they get to control the room. Being magnetic comes from one thing, and it's being the center of your own life. That is really the goal here. I really worked, I did a series on TikTok a while back where it was like, I'm trying to decentralize men from my life, because what would happen is like, I would end up breaking up with somebody and then I would try to find the next person. And I didn't feel valuable unless somebody was choosing me. Okay. Unless a man was choosing me, I didn't feel valuable until I realized I have to choose me to be valuable. I have to prioritize myself. I have to make plans. I have to prioritize my health. I have to do the things that I want to do. And you'd think like, man, bitch, you went through the whole fucking summer of me and you didn't learn this. These are really hard lessons to reprogram. They're hard things to learn in your life, and it takes a lot of intention. And sometimes I sit here and I'm like, is it this hard for everybody else? Like, is everybody else going through this? Is everybody else feeling their way through all of these things? And what I've realized is yes and no. There's people that don't have to. There's people that, married the right person right out of the gate, and like maybe that they've got the lucky straw. There's people that ignore these things and they go their whole life just being triggered and in this spiral of anxiety and fear and all these things. And then there's people that lean in, and there's a lot of them out there that are like, I got to figure this pattern out. I got to figure out why this is so bothersome to me. I remember being with this guy, and he would not like text me back, or it would be like days, or he would like go silent. And I was a disaster. I remember just being like, I can't work, I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't function, because what was I doing? I was giving everything that deemed me worthy or valuable or human to this person, and letting them be like, today you are, today you're not, today you are. Like, and when you're with somebody who is breadcrumbing you, or they're just genuinely not interested, or maybe they're really fucking busy or whatever. Like, I know people are like, they're not ever that too busy. Sometimes they are. Sometimes people are out of pocket, I gave everything to that person, and I lost myself completely in that. And this was after the summer of me. But I really have learned over the last year or so, probably maybe a little bit longer, like, it is the importance of being the center of your own life is where you're going to have healthier relationships, and healthier engagements with people. Practice makes this a reality. This is not something that happens overnight. It takes so much intention and so much practice. So you're not waiting, you're not anticipating, you're not adjusting your schedule, you're not shrinking to be somebody else. If you're doing these things now, just in the initial stages of talking to somebody, imagine doing this for the rest of your life. Full transparency, with this one person that I'm referring to, I would get into this habit of figuring out like who this guy was following. Girls are like fucking sleuths. I mean, the CIA needs to hire more like middle-aged women, honestly. I would figure out like, who's he following? Whose pictures is he liking? I would go through like all of these things. And then I would be like, well, I'm not blonde. I'm not in my 20s. I have a lot going on. I have 5 kids. I have multiple businesses that I'm like working, running, doing all these things. I have a lot of bills. I have an ex-husband. I have all these things. And then I started to feel like, oh my God, I can't be that person, because I need to be this tiny little, blonde bombshell for this guy so that he likes me. And then I'm like, and then you get to the place where you're like, well, wait a second. If I have to do this now, imagine having to figure out how to dim my light my whole life. Imagine having to create this tiny shrunken version of myself so that this person likes and accepts me. What a fucking miserable way to live. This is never going to work anyways. And then I would kind of come back into myself and be like, I am magnetic. I am the prize. And ultimately, like if I'm too much for you, people are like, if I'm too much, go find less. It's true. Go find less. There are women out there that men want that have less going on. I realize I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Almost nobody's at this point. That's okay, because I fucking love my energy. I love myself. I watch my Instagram stories and I'm like, that is fucking hilarious. I am a great time. I love hanging out with myself. And that is what makes me magnetic to the right people, is they're like, she's a great time. I want a piece of her energy. The moment you make a man the center of your life, you stop becoming magnetic. It is the law of physics. I don't know what it is, but it is so true. Your energy gets clingy, performative. You feel like you are self-conscious, and that actually repels people. Here's some examples of what being magnetic looks like. I like you, but I like myself more. I want connection, but I'm not going to chase it. I'm open, but I'm not centering you in my life. I'm not waiting for you. This is what really like makes a man or a business relationship or whatever. Like, we're all drawn to that person who doesn't need us, right? Like it's nobody wants to be friends with the girl who's like, do you want to hang out today? What are you doing today? Do you want to hang out today? Like, no, they want to be friends with the girl who's so damn busy. And like, oh, I hope I can get on her social calendar this week, because she's got so much shit going on. You want to be part of whatever it is. That is magnetic. Okay. And that works for friendships. That works for relationships, especially with men. Like men are created to chase. They are created like instinctually to go after, to hunt. And if you're making it easy and you're just like, think about if you're like out hunting and there's like a deer just like fondling itself at your feet, they're going to be like, this deer, something's wrong with this one. I'm good. I'm moving on to the one that's hard to get. So here's what the law of attraction is actually like legitimately scientifically. The brain is wired with something called the reticular activating system, or your RAS. The reticular activating system, if you were to say, I'm looking for, I want a yellow car, and then all you see are yellow cars, it's because your brain is seeking those things. It is a spotlight, basically. So whatever emotional state you're in, your reticular activating system starts scanning for evidence that matches it. It's like, you've heard it maybe called bias before. So if you're anxious, your brain is going to find all the things that it can be like, oh yeah, we're anxious today. Hell yeah, we're anxious today. Oh God, that, by the way, add that to the list. You should be anxious about this. If you're grounded, it's going to highlight all these possibilities. If you're feeling like I am confident, I'm grounded, I feel secure, your brain is going to go find all the reasons to support that. It's going to have a cognitive bias to support all of those things. If you believe that men pull away, if you're like, men suck, they're never coming after me, all this stuff, your brain is going to find supporting facts for that. This is science-based like stuff. So when you're thinking about the law of attraction and all these things, think about how you're speaking. Pay attention to the thoughts that are coming. I know that sounds woo-woo, but it is very real stuff. And when you start to pay attention and you become magnetic, you realize all of the things that you start to attract. So when you're spiraling, if somebody's not texting you back, you shift into scarcity, fear, lack, like hypervigilance, all these things where you feel like you have to prove yourself. And that's when you attract the people that are going to tap into that kind of energy. They're going to give you in and out. They're going to breadcrumb. If you are coming in and you're sending the signal like, I'm good, I'm grounded, I'm here, I'm doing my thing, like come or go, I don't care, but like I'm going to be here doing my thing. I'm not available for uncertainty, basically. It's going to attract people that are going to participate in that because you're not going to tolerate any less because your brain is searching for the right things, the right activity, the right people, the right habits in those people. So if you believe you are worthy and secure, your brain is going to find things and people that actually support that. The law of attraction in real psychology is this: your beliefs shape your attention shapes your behavior, and your behavior shapes what you attract. It's literally nervous system and cognitive bias is creating this self-fulfilling prophecy. And again, I know this sounds easier said than done. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, but it takes a lot of time. It takes looking in the mirror. It takes talking to yourself. It takes journaling. It takes meditation. You might be like, I don't want to do any of those things. Okay, great. Go fucking live in misery. Go be anxious. Go be a head case. I've lived that life. And for me, it's like, I would rather take the time and be intentional and having this law of attraction and having this like cognitive intention where I'm purposeful about the things that I'm seeking because it makes my life better. I wake up every day and I'm like, I feel grounded. I feel present. I feel calm versus feeling like I am a spiraling disaster waiting for anybody and everybody to take my energy. So here's what you can actually do in some of these moments when you're feeling like you're spiraling, basically. Number one is to label it. This is such a powerful tool. And I don't think that people do this enough. I will film myself in my camera. I have no fucking shame. I will look in the mirror. I will film myself. I talk to myself. When's the last time you made eye contact with yourself in a mirror? And then I'm going to label what's happening. This is not about the other person. This is about what I went through. This is about a pattern that I have in my life. This is about, my attachment system being activated. This is triggering me. I know triggering is such a overused word at this point, but it's a really real thing. Like this is like, you can physically, when you tap in enough, you can physically start to feel like my stomach is starting to like churn a little bit. It's because something in your life that's happened before is being reactivated and a tape is starting to play again, right? So number one is to label it. The best way to do this is to talk to yourself and really call it out because it takes you out of this like chaos spiral and into like reality. Number two is to redirect your body, not your thoughts. You cannot outthink your way out of this. You have to actually physically do something. So cold water on your face. This is like a face dunk. I fill a bowl full of ice water and dunk my face in it. This resets your nervous system. Get outside, do some movement, breath work. If you don't know what box breathing is, Google it. It's a really powerful tool. Meditate. Do something that like go fucking touch grass. Do something that gets you out of your mind and into your body. This is a very tangible tool that you can use when you're spiraling like this. Your body calms before your mind does. So it's really important to get there first. And then do one thing that returns you to yourself. Go put on an outfit that makes you feel great. Go work out in the gym and get a good like serotonin boost. Do something that brings you back and you're like, this is my life. I'm actually in charge. I'm not letting that person rob my energy or take my sanity or giving that person all of my energy. I'm going to become magnetic and attract what I want to attract, not give what I need to give. Magnets don't give, they attract. Okay. Pull your energy back, not by being cold, but like by being centered, mirroring their energy. You don't need to over respond. You don't need to respond quickly. Emotions take time and we need to give them time and space to breathe. So if somebody's texting you and you feel like you need to get back to them right away, just take a beat, like take a fucking minute, put your phone away, go dance to a song, go do something, take a shower. I don't know, just like take a minute because oftentimes it's like we feel like we have to, it's a big hurry, and it's not. It's actually not. You get to be the magnet here and attract the timing and the people and the energy that you want to attract. Last thing I'll say about this is do not fill this like gap of silence with this person with a fantasy that they're, that they don't like you, or that they're now never going to talk to you again, or that they're ghosting you or whatever. Start to look back at your history and be like, well, this happened with this person, and then look where we are now. Like I talk to every single one of my ex-boyfriends. None of them bitches run away. They always come back. Let me just assure you, they always come back. And so, well, actually, not every single one. Let me clarify that because I know that people will love to talk about that. But ultimately, like, pay attention to past patterns and not past triggers. I think that it's really helpful to kind of look back at different relationships and be like, well, this happened in this relationship and here's how it actually played out. And that's helpful to our mind instead of you filling in all these blanks with your panic mind. So all of this to say, in closing, this experience where you're triggered by somebody's lack of response or just different energy than maybe you were hoping to receive from somebody, it is not a reflection of your value at all. Your value and your worth is inherent, and you own those things. You get to be those things. Whether somebody pays attention and sees value in it or not, it doesn't have anything to do with your worthiness. How you respond can be a representation of your value. If you are constantly diving after this person, trying to fill in the blanks, going at that is going to show poorly on your value because you are giving everything that you have to that other person instead of holding it close to your heart. And so you don't become more chosen by chasing. You become more chosen by being a woman who chooses herself first. I know this is hard. I know this is an uphill battle. For somebody like me, I have struggled so deeply with this. And I can promise you, when you get to the other side, when you start to practice this more, and when you start to see that like, I am magnetic as hell. I attract the things I want to attract. I am grounded. I am here for the things that I want to be here for in my life. That is where you really become unstoppable and you feel empowered and confident to do the things that you want to actually do in your life. Hope this was helpful. Thanks for listening to another episode of The Summer of Me. Thanks for listening to The Summer of Me. You can listen to episodes on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube. Come hang out and follow my chaos on Instagram @KendraForNow. See you next time.